happy fall. I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving is coming up and I believe you will be watching this in November. So I hope you are having a great Thanksgiving and you had a great Thanksgiving. So yeah, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe down below. I would really appreciate it if you would be a part of my YouTube family here on my channel. Let's go ahead and jump into today's topic. Today's topic is going to be about trusting in the Lord even when it doesn't make sense. When God is telling you to do something and it's in unfavorable circumstances and your flesh is like, no, like absolutely not. I'm not going to subject myself to, that environment or that type of uncomfortability or whatever the case may be. I'm just not going to do it. Like, I just can't. It just doesn't make sense. Well, God's ways are not our ways, and the things that he wants to accomplish may not make sense to us because we can't fathom his ways. Now, I feel like there's some people out there where God has told you to do something specifically and you refuse to do it. Why, girlfriend? Why? Because you don't want to feel uncomfortable? Because you don't see what God is going to do? You don't see the outcome? You only see the circumstance at hand? Consider that story, Jonah. How God told him to do something. He didn't want to do it, so he fled from God, thinking that you can flee from God, which you can't, right? But he thought he could, so he went and he fled from God. He got on that boat. He infected everyone on the boat. Their lives were at risk because of him being disobedient to God, and it was just a big mess. So they had to throw him overboard, and a big fish came and, swallowed him up, and he was in the belly of the fish. We all know the story, right? So God came to him and was like, hey, I told you to do something, you were disobedient. So Jonah, being obedient after the storm got so bad, he began to do what God told him to do in the first place. We can compare that story to our lives. I know there's a situation currently where God has told me to do something, and it certainly is going to cause me to be super uncomfortable. It's totally out of my comfort zone, and it's totally something that my flesh doesn't want to do. But I know that as a follower of Jesus and as a follower of my Lord and Savior, I have to be willing to be uncomfortable. I have to in order for God to use me as his human vessel, as his human agency, as a disciple. You have to learn how to be uncomfortable, and you kind of have to just do it. And once I gave myself to Jesus and I was just like, okay, I trust you, Lord, I trust what you're doing, I trust the process. You really have to examine yourself and realize if you really do trust God. Like, if you really are willing to be obedient to what he says and what he's telling you to do. I don't know what he's telling you guys to do. I'm sure there's someone out there, some of you out there, who God has told you to do something, and you're weighing it out and you're talking yourself out of it because, again, the circumstances are unfavorable for you, so you don't want to do it. But again, if you're constantly telling God to use you, and you're constantly wanting to witness to other people and be a testimony, and God, use me, do this in my life, bless me, but you're not willing to allow God to use you so he can bless you abundantly. That's where your faith comes in, right? That's where you have to have faith, and you have to trust the Lord, and you kind of have to lean on him, not your flesh. That's what we need to do every day, right? Day to day is lean on the Lord and not lean on ourselves and our own self-will. We need to do God's will, because at the end of the day, you guys, you want to hear, well done, good and faithful servant. Not depart from me. You, I do not know. You who practice lawlessness. You don't want to hear those words. I know I sure don't. I want to hear well done. We can really get in the way of our blessings, right? By not obeying Christ, by not doing what he told us to do, we can really hinder ourselves. We could really just hinder ourselves by allowing our flesh to dictate to us and allow our flesh to tell us what we want and what we don't want to do. We need to put our flesh into submission. The Bible talks about that, you know, put that flesh into submission and, you know, live by the Spirit, and you won't carry out the desires of the flesh. So are you living by your spirit, or are you living by your flesh? Like, we really need to ask ourselves those questions and answer those questions, not just ask them, but answer them. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this topic because, again, it's definitely relatable for me, and I'm sure there are a lot of you guys out there where God is like, you know, I want you to do this, I want you to do this, and you're being stubborn, and you're like, no, I don't want to do that, God, I don't want to do that, open up the door. But God's like, I want you to walk through this door, but you're like, I don't want to walk through that door, let me shut this door, let me find a way to shut this door. But God's like, I'm opening the door, I'm opening it. Change is uncomfortable, but you have to be willing to change. You have to be able to allow change to grow you up. In order to be able to experience growth, you need to be willing to be uncomfortable. That's just the bottom line. So, I hope this message helps you guys out there, and I hope this opens up the door for you guys to be uncomfortable. Not comfortable, but uncomfortable. Jesus wants to use you, but you gotta be willing to be used by Jesus. And you gotta mean that wholeheartedly. So, lastly, I want to leave you guys with this very, 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 very familiar verse, which is in Proverbs, which says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not unto your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. So if you guys truly believe that, then trust in him, acknowledge him, and allow him to be a lamp to your feet, because that's essentially all you could do. I love you guys, and again, if you haven't done so, go ahead and click the subscribe button down below. I would really appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a blessed and wonderful day. Mwah! Bye.